Hello everybody, I'm Catriona Morten, I'm a sensory-motor psychotherapist, and today I'd like to talk to you about things that make us feel uncomfortable, and that's uncomfortable emotions, body sensations, just general discomfort. The reason that I want to talk to you about this is because it's the driver a lot of the time for our impulsive behaviours, particularly around other people. If you're having an interaction with someone else and they give you a message, either by their body language, the way they look at you, or what they say, that actually you're making them feel uncomfortable, then we can be very, very alert to that. And that can make us feel very, very uncomfortable that somebody else is either disapproving of us or being a bit negative about us. It can make us immediately want to make that right, to immediately want to go into maybe a people-pleasing mode, to apologise or try and do the right thing. And that can be either an immediate thing or something that can play out over several hours or several days. We'll just adapt ourselves to try and not get that negativity back from the other person. If, on the other hand, we were able to notice that discomfort, notice that uncomfortableness, and just actually sit with it. When we can build up a tolerance for that and be aware of it, be able to observe it, to have a sense of, oh, that person's reaction and response is making me feel uncomfortable. I'm making them feel uncomfortable, they're making me feel uncomfortable. When we don't act on it and just sit with it, then it gives us the opportunity to try and work out what's actually going on in this dynamic. So if we can acknowledge our own discomfort in whatever shape that comes up, it can be our body temperature might go up, it can be an uncomfortable feeling in our stomach, we might get a bit shaky, our chest might go a little bit tight, our head might start racing, oh my god, what's going on? When we can notice that and just observe it, be curious about it, that's making me feel X, Y, or Z, then it stops us just acting on it, having that as the driver of, I've got to do something. When we can be a bit more curious about what's actually happening, then we can check out with the other person. You know, I can see you feeling uncomfortable. I wonder what it is about what just happened or what I said or what I did that caused that reaction. When we can make it about the reaction and the interaction rather than about ourselves, then very often what we find is that actually it's not necessarily us, what we said or what we did. It can be something about us that reminds that person of someone else or of a negative interaction they had or a negative experience they had. And instead of us either chasing after that person to try and make it all right, or starting to modify our behaviour, which actually then makes us feel even more on edge, then it gives us a chance to explore what's going on in that interaction, what it's really about. Because it could be about something that's got nothing to do with us. It could be that we remind them of someone else, or our tone of voice, or the way that we joke about things, or the way that we go quiet. And it's not necessarily that we've done something wrong, but it's something in that interaction that's been a little bit triggering or uncomfortable for the person. It then gives them the opportunity to look at what's going on for them and bring it out into the open. Let it be there, let it be looked at, let's shine a light on it, instead of always being driven by our behaviour. So if you're aware that you'll do anything to avoid negative feedback from someone else or upsetting someone else, then you'll also be aware that you maybe have very little boundaries, that you make it all about the other person and if they're happy or not. And in a relationship, what that can mean is that the power imbalance gets really skewed. One person is the person that needs to be pleased and attended to, and the other person can become a bit invisible. Their needs don't really matter. They're so focused on what's going on for the other person. If we can sit with our own discomfort and not act on it, then it just opens up so many different possibilities. Most people want to avoid and run away from difficult, uncomfortable sensations. When we can learn to sit with them and know that actually they're not that bad, they don't consume us, we're not going to be sick, we don't freeze, then it just gives us a better understanding of ourselves, a bit more control, an opportunity to put some boundaries in place, an opportunity to engage and check out with the other person. It just gives us that time for reflection and to allow other things to be explored and thought about and considered, and there can be an awful lot more learning and understanding coming from it. So if you remember an interaction that made you feel uncomfortable, bring it up again, picture it, imagine it, remember it. Notice where in your body it affects you. Does it make your chest go tight? Does it make your stomach go tight or do flips? And if it does, then just sit with it. Notice that tightness or the flipping of your stomach. Be aware of what happens when you sit with it and just notice what it's doing. If it's a flipping over in your stomach, does it increase as you just become aware of it? Or does it just stay the same? Or does it decrease? Or does it change into something else? But to just notice it as a body sensation and not as a something's wrong. When we can just be with it, hold it, feel it, be curious about it, and try not to name it as things like terror or panic, but name it for what it is. Feels like my stomach's flipping over. Feels like it's a washing machine, or it feels like it's going into a tight knot. How tight is the knot? How much space does it take up? What's it like for that tight place as you're just noticing it? Does it feel like it's got a heat to it, an intensity to it? Just being with it. Your body's not working against you. It's just reacting. And it's reacting from things that have happened to you in the past and from things that are happening in the present. The more we can make this familiar and not something that either needs to be gotten rid of immediately or acted on immediately, then the more we get to know ourselves and the more control we've got over things, and the more we can be present and important and stand our own ground. So I really hope that's been helpful. And if you've enjoyed this video, give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel below. And I look forward to seeing you again really soon. Bye.